Here you go. My problem with baseball, or at least my primary, like the number one, this is wrong and I can't stand this with baseball, is this. And it's the New York Mets versus the Chicago Cubs. Has nothing to do with who wins, who loses. That is why I just spent the last 1 to 2 minutes going into great detail explaining that I do not have any strong ties one way or the other, fan related, to either of these teams. I like them both. I don't love either one of them. I don't hate either one of them. They're both kind of the same team to me. So what could my problem be? Here's my problem. The New York Mets finished the season 7 games behind the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs played in the best division in all of baseball, where the team with the best record in all of baseball after a 162-game season, that is key here. The 162-game season element is immense factor here, okay? So after playing a 162-game season, St. Louis Cardinals had the best record in all of baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates had the second best record in all of baseball. And the Chicago Cubs had the third best record in all of baseball. We took 162 games to determine how good all of the teams were, who were the best, who deserved what, as far as going into the postseason. All for nothing. What did that second best team in all of baseball get rewarded with? A 1-game must-win, do-or-die play-in game versus the third best team in all of baseball. Not a 3-game series, not a 5-game series. A 1-game, winning you're in, losing you go home, against the third best team in all of baseball. That was their reward for being the second best team in all of baseball after 162 games. So now let's progress through what happened. Cubs win that 1 game, because anything can happen in 1 game in any sport for that matter. So Cubs win that 1 game, and especially in baseball, determining who the best team is by playing 1 game, that's absurd. That has never been how baseball's worked ever. In the exception of a division tie, however, that's different. You can figure that out on your own time. But so then we're done with the wild card round, and we are on to, round, air quotations, game, wild card game. And we're into the actual 5-game division series round, where we have the best team in all of baseball, number 1 seed St. Louis Cardinals. We've got our wild card winner determined now, the third best record in all of baseball, and now the second best remaining record in all of baseball. And then you've got the Dodgers winning their division, having the third best record, and the Mets winning their division, having the worst record of all 5 teams that qualified for the National League playoffs. Now, what happens? Mets win, Cubs win. We're in the National League Championship. You've got the Mets, who, as I just mentioned, had the worst regular season record out of all 5 teams in the National League playoffs. They are hosting the National League Championship Series. They have home field advantage in the National League Championship Series, having a 7-game worse record than the team they're playing against. The Chicago Cubs finished the regular season 7 games better than the New York Mets. And yet, when we get to the National League Championship and the two of them meet, because the Mets won their division and the Cubs didn't, because the Cubs play in the best division in all of baseball and have better, more difficult competition. They're basically playing in the SEC of Major League Baseball, okay, is the National League Central. And then you've got the Mets, who are basically like, the bad. They're like the winner of the Mountain West Conference or something. We won our division. We're in the playoffs. We're not very good. We didn't have a good record, at least. How can you have the worst team in the entire league hosting your league championship series? It bothers me so much. You on fire, balls on fire. You're welcome. Hold on. There we go. Does not even come close to describing how irate I am about this. It's offensive, okay? It completely degrades the 162 epic marathon of a regular season that Major League Baseball forces all of its fans through and all of its players through every year. You know what else it completely degrades? Playing any team that's not in your division, ever. Interleague play, completely pointless. A win versus one team doesn't mean as much as a win versus another team, not even remotely close. And it doesn't... Oh my gosh. I mean, do you see? Okay, please don't make me go into more detail. Like, you can see, it's that obvious to you too, right? How completely bass-ackwards, upside down, mega ultimate stupid dumb this is, right? So, just to clarify, I don't hold it against the Mets. They didn't make the rule, they can only all they can do is play and try to win. And I'm also by no means saying that had the Cubs had the home field advantage in this series that they deserved and should have had anyway, but because Major League Baseball is mega stum, they don't. I'm not saying that the results of the series would be any different whatsoever. The Mets are playing great baseball right now, and the Cubs were. They're not quite as much now, or maybe just the Mets are just playing that much better. But it doesn't necessarily change anything. It may have, who knows, but that's not the point. The point is that you play your 162 game season. It's an insanely huge, long, big number, okay? Generally on Balls Deep Sports Talk, we're all about insanely huge and long things, but not in this case. You play that 162 game season to determine who the best team in each division is, okay? So there's 6 teams. We determine who those 6 teams are. That's one of the things we play the regular season for, to determine the best team in each division, okay? Then we try to determine we also play the 162 game season to determine the other two best teams in each league, the American League and the National League. All right? So theoretically, our 10 best teams, we play 100. Every team plays 162 games against division opponents, league opponents, and non-league, interleague opponents. Okay? Every team plays a 162 game schedule comprising of those three types of games. Is it not right and fair to then match up and seed those 5 teams on each side accordingly to who's won the most games? Am I crazy for thinking that that's not crazy? Because to me, it just seems like the most sanest, most logical thing in the world. Okay, we determine our 5 teams on each side by 3 division winners and then 2 best records. All right, there's our 5 teams on side A. There's our 5 teams on side B. No problem with that. That is perfect. Okay. The problem is you get a year like this year where what happens when the 3 best teams in baseball are all in the same division? You get one team that's got an automatic, hosting a division series, 5-game series. The other 2 teams, they get forced to play each other in a winner-take-all 1-game play-in game. Horrible. That needs to change immediately. That is step 1 in what needs to be changed for fairness, okay? We need to make the wild card round an actual round. It needs to be an actual series. I think the ideal series for the wild card round is a 3-game series where one team gets to host a game apiece, and then if needed, we get a third and final deciding game by the team with the better of the 2 records. But you need some kind of series. It's baseball. You can't do a 1-game scenario. You always determine things by a series, even in the regular season in baseball. When we play the White Sox, we don't play the White Sox on Tuesday, and then the Tigers on Wednesday, and then the Royals on Thursday. No, we play the White Sox on Tuesday, and then the White Sox again on Wednesday, and then the White Sox again on Thursday. Okay? That's how the sport of baseball works, functions, always has. Okay? I mean, the way it is now, the wild card round is not a wild card round. It's in reality a 163rd regular season tiebreaker game between the 2 non-division winners with the best record to determine the 4th and final playoff spot. Let's not have it where there's only 4 real playoff spots anymore. If we're including 2 wild cards and 5 teams on each side, then let's make them real playoff spots where they have a real playoff series. Okay, it's not that hard. That's the first easiest fix right here that there's no debate on whatsoever, other than do we make it 3 games or do we make it 5 games like the division round? I think 5 games could get just a little too long. I think 3 is perfect because not only do it's shorter, you get a quick series in, but it's a series. Each team, has a chance to come back from a loss and avenge themselves, prove that they're the better team. But it also puts the 2 wild card teams, the winner of the wild card round, at more of an actual disadvantage for not winning their division. Because if you're playing a 2 or 3 game series, which is what it would be under my new rules, in the wild card round before going to the division series, that is going to completely change, throw off, potentially mess up your starting pitching rotation for that next division series. The way it's set up now with the one game,